Hi, I'm Art Bergeron, and if you haven't seen this show before, welcome to Frank and Mary here on Nantucket. I am an elder law attorney. My day job, I work at Myrick O'Connell, but this is not about my day job. This is about my friends Frank and Mary. If you've ever seen or been to the Salt Marsh and seen any of my presentations, you know that Frank and Mary's goal in life is to live in their house until they die and be buried in the backyard. And if that sounds familiar, if that's what you want to do, the point of this show is to help you know the people that you need to know and the programs that you need to know about in order to be able to stay here forever, right? So my wonderful co-host, who most people do know, a few people know me. Everybody knows Alison Forsgren. She's been here like forever, and has been really active in the among things helping seniors. Convinced me to get on the Friends of Our Island Home Board. She's been active in the council, done a bunch of stuff, and she always finds these great guests. But finally, I found one. So I'm so excited, right? Because as a result of all this stuff, I ended up getting asked by our guest to be on the board at NCTV. And I am now on the board and have been for like the last couple of years. It's been the most enjoyable experience I've ever had of being on a board. It's just a really fascinating group. So we were talking, Alison and I were talking. I wanted to ask Dan to come on because as Frank and Mary here on Nantucket, you need to know what's happened at NCTV and what is happening, what is going to happen. And Dan has really been this kind of transformative figure in terms of dealing with those things since he became the chairman of the board, actually several years ago. So Dan, thank you very much for coming on. Alison, thank you very much for being here. And once again, we're going to do the usual format. Either of us is asking questions at any time. But Dan, as Alison knows, my traditional first question when she typically runs these is, how did you get here? So how did you get here?
Unlike some of my friends who took the wrong boat, my wife and I deliberately took the right ferry to get here in 1971. And we were just smitten with the island, and it stuck with us, and we said, we've got to get back here somehow. So it started in 71, and it was guest houses and summer rentals, and it finally became an opportunity to buy a house here 25 years ago. So we are here. I'm retired from my old career of filmmaking. My career was in directing and producing television commercials all over the world. And I'm retired. My wife laughs when I say that because I continue to work very much on the island, shooting films for nonprofits, for businesses, and spending a lot of time helping NCTV with my years of expertise.
And by the way, the members of the board often laugh at that also. I mean, the notion that he pretends he's retired. I mean, because he's like so there always. Alison, I think you were going to ask a question.
No, I said thank you.
You're welcome.
It's quite
we
something.
Need people like you.
It's quite,
thank you.
And once again, and people like Alison. And one of the joys of coming to Nantucket, as somebody said, you go for the beach and you stay for the people, right?
Absolutely.
You've got this tremendous community of people who are really interested in each other, which is terrific.
Absolutely. It's one of the questions I ask many people that have come to the island. I said, why do you stay here? Why did you come to Nantucket? What's the most special thing about the island? And I would say 9.5 out of 10 will always say the first reason is community. It's pretty amazing here.
It's pretty amazing. And can you kind of, so that's a great segue into NCTV, so can you just talk a little bit about, you've been chair now for a while, right? About where NCTV has come, right? And certainly I know it's come a long way because I've been trying to get to the studio to do a show for like a year, and things keep on changing there, right? So if you could talk a little bit about that, the project and where that is, and now as a result of that, the capacity to do stuff, and then talk a little bit about your own sense of where NCTV can go. And I know at the end, I'd really like you to talk a little bit about this notion of NCTV as really a producer of original programming, because I think that kind of segues into one of the reasons I wanted you to come on the show, was to talk a little bit about this Island Cup project.
Okay.
So where is NCTV? Where is it? Where's it going? What's the role of programming and all of that?
I think like any business, we are constantly evolving. Our current mission statement says that, we want to engage Nantucket by connecting stories to the audiences. And that's government to citizens. That's kind of like our priority. And I think what probably the majority of Nantucket community sees us as doing the government meetings, which, I think are critical. I think it's great to bring that to the people, to be involved in our government. The other thing that we do is bring expertise to students of any age, whether they're in the high school, middle school, or people like us, some older folks.
The
want to
old
learn
school.
a little bit about
We're members
video.
of the old school.
We're the old school here on this side, yes. The other thing we do is production support for local, nonprofits, businesses in the town. So if somebody has a communication problem or they want to be able to communicate to the public, we're there to help them in whatever way we can. So it's a variety of things. Our work curve goes like every other business on the island. It just goes absolutely crazy during the summer months, and then it tapers back down. So part of that programming that we want to bring to the audiences, we did a survey a number of years back, asking the community what they wanted from our TV station. One of the very top items was original programming. Programming that it was local. So we've worked very hard recently to be able to provide that more and more. Not easy to do. I know everybody thinks we make a ton of money off from the Comcast fees, but it's like any business on this island. It's expensive. You've got to house your employees. You've got to pay rent or mortgage, et cetera, et cetera.
And by the way, just to digress for a second. So once again, from being on the board, I'm obviously very aware of that, because
Yes.
like most cable stations, for two things that I think people should be aware of. Massachusetts is unique nationally in that in all places, cable stations were required as a result of this cable law that got passed a long time ago to basically pay rent for the cable that they're running on the public roads, right? And that rent
Correct.
is in the form of a charge, which is a percent of what your monthly bill is, right?
Yep.
It's supposed to go to the communities. The only state in which the state passed legislation that mandated that money was going to go back to towns specifically for programming, right, was Massachusetts. So in many places, the money comes in and then the money just drops into the general fund and evaporates.
That's right.
Things like it just evaporates, right? But here, as a result of that, there has been this evolution over time of the tremendous number of individual stations, of which in Massachusetts, there are over 300 stations, right? For the 351, I always get 351, but then I forget Devon's, for the 351 plus cities and towns, right?
Right.
So, and we're very aware of that because there's a statewide organization of these things. But one of the interesting things about Nantucket, and I think Dan's really pushed this, is that many of these communities will do the government and they'll broadcast the sports and stuff, but very few have looked at this notion of actually producing programming on their own in addition to that. So I think it's a really important thing, right?
Correct. And it's geared really for the Nantucket audience. What's of interest? We love doing little pieces on one of our new shows called Nantucket Life, is bringing things that people probably had no idea existed here on the island. Little stories, little secrets and so forth here and there, to make it entertaining and to just enlighten the community about what's going on here.
Right. And by the way, one of the reasons this is an important function, as many people may be aware, a lot of folks are cutting the cable. Yes. The money that comes from the cable subscriptions presumes that most people are on the cable, but that is shrinking. And so one of the reasons why, we on the board have been so supportive of the vision that Dan has, is that he's the one person I've seen who's recognized that in the longer run, that it is an important building block of the cable station to be doing exactly what we're trying to do now, right?
Exactly.
One other thing that I think NCTV has excelled at is educating the community. I mean, students, one of my coworkers made a movie with the help of NCTV to, in the competition that you have. And it's just fascinating to see what people can do given the tools. And so I hope more and more people are taking advantage of that. But I see that as a huge way that you have really supported the people who live here.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
that, fortunately, the Nantucket Shorts Festival has been kind of on hiatus because of COVID, but it's coming back this year. And you're absolutely right. I mean, if somebody has an idea, an inkling of a little story they want to tell, fantasy, fictional or nonfiction, then NCTV is there to help you make that happen. So you don't have to go, oh my God, where do I get a camera? How do I do this? How do I edit this? That's one of our goals, is to help people do that. As you said, one of your associates made a great little film 2 years ago that I think the audience absolutely loved. In fact, I believe she won the First Time Filmmaker Award.
She did.
For the movie she created.
That was Penny Dye, my associate at Atlantic East Nantucket Real Estate, and the movie was fascinating. She had such a great time doing it. It was real fun for her. So
That's great. I'm
We're always
glad she
looking for
enjoyed it.
That's a great example, Alison, because there are so many people. I mean, who may have that gift, but you just are, but you never kind of really had the chance to kind of do it, And what's interesting at the cable station is that they not only have the equipment, right, and they'll give you the equipment. I mean, this is community equipment, but they have the teachers there, so that you can kind of, you may have the gift, but you don't have the education, right? And so it may be that you want to do it some more. I bet Penny does, right?
Right. Yeah. If we can just take that technology hump put it aside, just let your creative brain work. That's really what we're there to help people do.
Right. And they do that a lot with the schools. They're doing.
Absolutely.
You can see a lot of kids there, right? Kind of going through your programs.
We have several programs, and I wish I could answer all of them, but there are several programs.
Right.
There's Teen View, which we do in conjunction with the Nantucket Film Festival. And there's another, I believe, a journalism course that's being offered.
Which is really huge because there are so many job opportunities in those fields, but how many kids get to come out of high school kind of really knowing enough to say, oh, I could really go into this field.
Exactly. Give them a taste, give them a flavor. I mean, how do you know otherwise if you can't, tip your toes into the water and say, this is interesting. This is something I may want to pursue. If we can do that with a couple of kids on the island, then we've done a great job.
And if you're Frank and Mary and you come from the old school, but that means guaranteed you weren't schooled in this, right?
Yes.
So don't forget that NCTV can do all of that stuff. And it seems and Dan, it seems to me that I remember that the money that we're using to build out the studio is also making us really able to do podcasts from there too, to allow people.
Again, we've built a very professional studio now in the basement. It's taken a while, but it's all done. We have a very high-end audio booth now for people to record voiceovers. If they want to do podcast, this is the perfect room. We've got the best gear in there to make this as simple as possible for everybody. We've also, in that basement, put in a full green screen. So if your show ever wants to come back and be produced on stage, we're ready to go with that again. Currently, Jay Craven's class, if people are familiar with Jay Craven's Semester Cinema, I believe it's called, where he shoots a feature film with students from various colleges throughout New England, maybe beyond. But they're using our studio downstairs now as kind of their giant work office and editorial operation. I believe they just started filming this week. I saw their trucks on Upper Main yesterday.
That's very exciting.
So the studio's a little tied up right now, but they'll be out of there soon.
And so I do want to mention, I never thought I was going to be a TV host, and I try to channel Rachel Maddow all the time when I do it. But the people who walk up to me in the grocery store who have watched the show on Channel 18, I mean, it just shocks me how many people say, "Oh, what a great!" And I think that I think a lot of people don't realize, or a lot of our viewers might not realize, that the episodes are available on demand. So people wake up at 8 o'clock and watch the show, which stymies me. I don't think I've ever watched one show on TV. But that's a great opportunity to have them saved on YouTube, or to be viewed again or used in promotional, for promotional purposes. I mean, it's a great add-on. It's much better than regular TV. So,
so Dan, I was getting off the boat the other day. I went over to Young's to rent my car. There's these two guys sitting on a bench across the street from Young's, and one of them looks at me and says, "Wow, you look a lot fatter on TV." This is visibility here. So so now tell us a little bit about this Island Cup thing, because this is a big deal. I'm really excited about this. And as a matter of fact, Penny Dye is going to be one of the main co-sponsors of this, together with a group of us, including Dan. Tell us a little bit about the Island Cup project.
This started back, I believe, and you can correct me, I believe it started back in 2018. When Frank, who's now our head of production, came on board with us. He had the notion of, he learned about the rivalries between the vineyard and Nantucket, both in tourism, government, and everything. But there's this pretty incredible thing that started 40 years ago called the Island Cup. And it's the football game. And it's a great rivalry. I remember the first time I became aware of it, I happened to be down on the strip, the big ferry is coming in, those big doors opened up, and it felt like thousands of people kind of walking off the ferry, and they're all coming from the vineyard to go to the Island Cup. So it's a pretty amazing. So Frank has worked very hard over about a 2-year period documenting this rivalry, the Island Cup, in all aspects of it, from the history to the current day. There's so many little sub stories. In fact, there are so many stories that you've got an armload of this great footage. We're now in the edit stage, and it's a gargantuan project. And it's something that really needed to be funded, because it's bigger than just our operation. We need to bring in some outside help in order to get this done. Our goal is to have this done by June is our target, but we are hoping to be able to premiere this at the Dreamland and also on the Vineyard at around September, when the football season starts again. I think it's going to be an incredible film. But as I said, we needed to raise a little bit more money. It was beyond our working budget to get this completed. And I've got to hand it to you, Arthur, for starting this notion. Well, let's see if we can raise some money. And I think you did it in like 3 weeks. We have raised a big chunk of the money. We're not at the end yet, but we're very close to being able to fund everything and get this film completed.
Right.
I do want to mention that Arthur spends Tuesdays and Thursdays of each week, one day on Nantucket and one day on the Vineyard, and that he has joined our community for both the Friends of Our Island Home and NCTV has been, he's connecting the Vineyard and Nantucket together in this Island Cup project. And he's the perfect person, because he has contacts and spends a day a week on the Vineyard anyway. So I think it's wonderful to have it be pulled together with the support of both communities, both financially and otherwise. So Arthur, thank you. You're such a do-gooder.
And actually, this is one of the things that came up. We realized basically the project to get this done is about $30,000. So it's not nothing, right? So after the last board meeting, I just called Penny Dye and I said, "So Penny, we really got to get this done, right?" So So I said, what if we get a group of 10 people to each throw in $2,500? And that'll be the base, and that'll be 25,000. And then we'll go to the public to raise the rest. And so that's what, and that's Penny said, I'm in. And so, and Dan is now in. And we now have, I've spoken to the woman from the Booster Club, right? To talk about in Nantucket. But I also told this group, I said, well, I know some people on the vineyard. They're like, people on the vineyard? I said, yes, So they're in also. So now there are 10 people who have each agreed, to give 2,500. So we have the base. It's like, it's effectively committed. It's all committed. I have my check in my briefcase, by the way, which I'm dropping off on Thursday. So, but then we're actually going to solicit funds to get the rest of the money, right? And we're going to do that, and we're going to do it kind of through NCTV because we're a 501c3. But what we're going to say in both islands, I think we've talked about this, is that we want to, for both islands, they want to use this as a fundraising mechanism for their booster clubs, for their sports, the sports teams, right?
That's
so
perfect.
What we're hoping to do is, if we raise more than that 25, more than the extra $5,000, we'll just split that between the two islands booster clubs. And then we're thinking that we want to do an event on each island to really kick this off. Once again, at the beginning of the football season, if that works, that could be a lot of fun. We want to be, trying to honor the coaches, invite the members, kind of really do something. So folks, I'm just saying, and a lot of folks, if you're Frank and Mary, then you get mailings from me. So you're going to see me talking about this because this is really important. This is really important. I know you don't like those people from the other island, but the Island Cup binds you together. It seems to me, I remember seeing this one little clip that Frank had shown. Now, maybe it wasn't he just told the story. It was like in the locker room in Nantucket, right? Before the game, right? No. And he was asking the kids, so if you had the choice between winning the state championship and winning the Island Cup, which would you prefer? And there was like a chant, like "crush the grapes." It's great. I mean, it's just great. It's just so American,
So American. I agree.
So American. So I think we're really, it's exciting, but I think it speaks to kind of the vision that Dan had really wants for this. So that I think for folks who are seeing, when they see this, I hope a lot of folks will say, this is a great way to tell our story. You have this wonderful resource here, NCTV, as a way of telling the story of a whole bunch of different, really important things that are very important to what is Nantucket? What is Nantucket? Nantucket is, you come for the beach, you stay for the people. Nantucket is a whole set of these amazing stories.
Absolutely.
So Alison, thank you very much for letting me have this is my one guest for the year, right?
I'm honored.
Dan, thank you so much for coming on and for, for being so supportive of this. And folks, this is just fun. This is a really good idea. It's just fun. You'll be getting more information on this. This is an ad. You need to be supporting this. This is just a really good thing for this island and even for the other island.
And so, and so maybe we can have a little a link on this page that goes to the clip that's on NCTV's website, because it's really fun to watch and it's a great way to sort of get a bearing, because who hasn't or won't go to a Whalers game, go to the Island Cup. I mean, you can't get around it. So
you can't get
excited about it now is great and will be helpful. And people can also get in on the donations if you feel strongly about supporting the movie or even the Boosters Club. It's a great way to have, to help out. So I'm sure there's got to be some link to donate somewhere, but we could perhaps run it here.
That's coming soon.
Coming soon.
Yes. So Alison, thank you so much. Dan, thank you so much, folks. Thank you very much for watching. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next installment of Frank and Mary here on Nantucket. Thank you.
Thank you.